Hey everyone, and welcome back to my channel. As you may or may not have noticed, I actually don't have any contour, highlight or bronzer on my face yet because that is what this video is about. So the first thing I wanted to talk about is the way contour affects different face shapes. So my face is actually very round, and even though you might have a round face out there, the way I contour my face isn't necessarily what would work for you either, just because even though you might have a round face, our bone structures could be very different. For example, I have a very short gap between the hollow of my cheek and my jawline. I also have a very big forehead, and not big as in length, but big as in my forehead sticks out quite a bit. I also have a very uneven hairline, so you can see here that the gap between my eyebrow and my hairline here and the gap here are completely different. I have a lot of baby hairs here, whereas I don't here, and it's just overall irregular. So because I have a round face, I want to be able to make my face look slimmer, and I do that by contouring the outsides of my face and making it as vertical as possible. Now what a lot of people do is they contour the hollows of their cheeks, and if they want to make their jawline a little bit slimmer, they will contour their jawline. Because I don't have much of a difference there, I'm actually going to contour above the hollow of my cheek and show you how that looks. And for my contour today, I will be using a combination of the BOE Professional Cream Contour Stick as well as my Australis AC On Tour Kit. So I'm going to start off with the cream stick first, and then I'll set it with the powder. I'm just going to draw a line going from here just above where the hollow of my cheek is. Just like that. I'm also going to contour my jawline. Just like that. Now most people will have the two contour lines like that, but because I want my face to look a little bit slimmer, and I actually do have a very wide jawline, I'm going to contour this area in as well. And that's just going to make my face look a lot more vertical and slimmer. So I'm also going to take this contour and contour this area of my face. So what I'm doing now is I'm creating shadows on my face just so that other parts are highlighted. So where I would put my highlight would be brought forward, and where I contour will be brought back. Visually, I mean. And then I'm going to contour this area here. Now, I'm actually not going to contour this part of my forehead because it actually is quite dark. That's just because of like sun and whatever. Now using my finger, I'm going to blend everything through. And then you end up with something looking just like that, a much more defined bone structure. Next, I'm going to take a tapered face brush, and the reason why I use a tapered face brush is because it's really easy to create a precise contour. So for my contour, I'm going to be using this middle shade here. This is the light complexion palette, and I'm just going to use the tip of my brush in that color and just set wherever I use the cream contour. I'm also going to use the cream contour stick to do the sides of my nose. I'm just going to focus this mainly on the bridge. And what I'm doing is just creating a false shadow on the bridge of my nose just to make the bridge look more narrower, and that's just going to make my nose look a lot more slimmer and elongated. I'm actually not going to use that contour powder to set my nose just because I don't want it to look too dark and unnatural. Later I will set the rest of my face using a translucent powder. So moving on to bronzer, and this is my favorite. This is like if I was trapped on an island and could only take 3 things with me, bronzer would definitely be one of them. So I'm using the last shade of the AC On Tour kit, and the fact that it's warm is what's going to make it really bronze up your face. So I'm using a angled flat top brush just because it has a wider surface area, and I'm just going to place that on this part of my cheek. I'm going to create kind of like a V shape, so I'm going to start up here and work my way down to that contour, kind of creating a V shape. And the reason for that is we're trying to create a love heart effect for the highlighted part of our face, and that's what's really going to help slim it up a bit more and enhance your features. I'm just going to keep building up this bronzer in that triangle shape and see how we go. I'm also going to take a little bit of bronzer on my jawline here. And because I have like a tiny bit of a double chin going on here, I'm going to put a little bit of bronzer there as well. And the reason why I didn't put the contour shade there is because it can make my face look really muggy, whereas if I have bronzer it just looks a lot more fresh. I'm also going to add a tiny bit of bronzer on my chin, just on the side here. And that's just going to help pop my chin out a bit more and give my face a little bit more shape. I'm also going to use the bronzer shade up here where I put the contour previously. And I know I have a lot of baby hairs here, but I'm going to try as much as possible to bronze up this area as well. And I'm going to try to leave a little bit of a gap between my eyebrow and the bronzer. Just like that. And not forgetting this little area here, just to slim up our face a little bit more. So that is the bronzer and contour done on this half of my face. Just to brighten up my under eye area, I'm going to use the yellow powder in the kit and put that underneath my eyes, just using a flat top brush. Again, you can see how that love heart shape is replicated. I'm going to use my Chi Face Extravaganza palette for blush and highlight, just because it's my favorite palette at the moment for it. So using a blush brush, I'm going to be taking this middle mauvey blush shade and just putting that on the apples of my cheeks. I'm really careful when I do this part because I don't want to mess up my bronzer and my contour. I'm just going to very, very faintly put it around here, trying not to bring it too high up to my eye because that's going to interrupt our little love heart shape. So I'm just going to leave it like that, just as a little flush of colour. Now with this banana shade, I'm also going to put that down the bridge of my nose, and that's going to act as a highlight. So I'm just going to use my finger to do this. Now onto highlight. There is obviously a few different highlight products you can buy depending on what works for you. I have the Benefit High Beam here, which is a liquid highlight, and it looks a little bit like a nail polish brush. I also am in love with the highlights in the Chi palette. So what I'm going to do today is I'm going to use the High Beam first and put that on my cheeks, and then go over that with a powder highlight. So what I like to do is just shake the product up a bit, and I'm going to do a few dots just like this, again mimicking the shape of a love heart. And instead of dabbing it, I'm going to use my finger to wipe it first and then dab on top of it, because if you dab it you tend to create a little bumpy highlight and not a really smooth in one line type of highlight. So I'll blend it like that first and then I'll dab it around. And that's just given me a really subtle highlight. Next, I'm going to use a fan brush, and I'm going to take a mixture of the first highlight shade and the last highlight shades, which both have gold reflect to it. And I'm just going to use my brush just to fan that onto my face. And the reason why I use a fan brush is because it controls the product a lot better and makes sure that you don't put a whole lot of highlight on at one time, and it's really easy to build up the colour. So I'm taking that up to pretty much here where the bottom of my eyebrow ends, and I'm going to take that down the tops of my cheek. Now you can see here that there's a bump, and that's where my eye socket begins just here. I'm going to make sure that I kind of get that down the bump, not all the way into my eye socket, but just so that the light hits it when it gets to that bump. and that's also going to make sure that it blends through to your eye powder. Now with my finger, I'm going to take the top highlight shade and just put a little bit on the tip of my nose and in my Cupid's bow. Ideally, you want to do your Cupid's bow before you put lipstick on. And that's it. That is how I contour and highlight my face. You can see the difference it really makes compared to have it looking really flat. It just adds a lot more dimension. It adds color, it brightens up your face, it enhances your bone structure, or you can tweak it to enhance certain bone structures that you want to. It just really transforms your face from looking extremely flat, and it has just completely transformed it to looking at something much better. It enhanced my features. It obviously works like magic in tricking the eye to thinking you have a higher cheek or a lower cheek, or making your face look a lot slimmer if you have a rounded face. It is just amazing, the power of contour. So that's the finished look, guys. I've just done my whole face in my contour and highlight routine. You can see that I've really slimmed down my face from looking really round and kind of square looking to much more slimmer, more dimensions, definitely enhanced some of my bone structures, and just a whole lot more better. Really warmed up my face with that bronzer. I cannot live without bronzer, and I obviously cannot live without highlight as well. I just love the way it gives your skin that nice, fresh, healthy glow. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I hope it was informative, and if you guys have any tips and tricks you'd like to share with me, please leave them in the comments down below. I'd love to know your routine on how you contour and highlight your face. Anyways, thank you so much for watching. Please like, share and subscribe if you enjoyed this video, and I'll see you in my next one.